Sophia lived in a small house overlooking a busy street on the edge of the city. An old house with doors that creaked whenever the wind moved, and walls that carried traces of years filled with struggle and patience. She didn't have much, but she possessed something rare, a heart that refused to be defeated. She had been working in a modest sewing shop since she was 16, learning from older women and sewing with hands that never truly rested. She would wake up before dawn and return after the city fell asleep, exhausted yet smiling, as if hope played a personal melody for her each morning. But fate rarely grants calm to those who carry big dreams. On a cold morning, the shop owner entered looking pale. He stood in front of the workers and said in a low, heavy voice, "The shop is shutting down. I can't continue. Each of you will need to find another job." Sophia felt the air tighten around her. She picked up her old box of tools and left without looking back, her steps heavy as though the ground itself reminded her of every hardship she had lived. On her way home, she heard children laughing and vendors calling out, yet she felt as though the whole world was moving forward, except her. She stopped for a moment and whispered to herself, "If the door is closed, then I will build another one." That sentence became the first thread pulling her toward a different future. That night, Sophia sat in front of an old sewing machine she inherited from her mother. Though it was shaky and rusty, she felt it carried more strength than its appearance suggested. She began sewing simple clothes for her neighbors, not seeking profit, just trying to prove to herself that she wasn't defeated. At first, her work was painfully slow, few customers, few requests, and plenty of doubtful looks. But she sewed as if every piece were a masterpiece, pouring her soul into every stitch. One day, she took a picture of a dress she had made for a little girl and posted it on her social media page. She expected only a few likes, but instead she woke up to a flood of messages, more than 50 in just a few hours. "Can you make one for my daughter? Do you ship to our city? What are your prices?" Sophia felt the world finally open a small window of light for her. She worked even harder, traveling each week to a distant fabric market, enduring crowded buses, and returning loaded with colors and ideas. She stayed up entire nights to finish orders on time. Eventually, she saved a decent amount of money, and her first decision was not to buy something for herself, but to buy a new sewing machine. One day, while she was working, her mother entered with a warm cup of tea. She looked at her daughter and said, "I see the same strength in you that your grandmother had. You can go further than you imagine." Those words gave Sophia the push she needed. Her business grew faster than she expected. She could no longer do everything on her own, so she hired a young girl who, like Sophia once had, needed a chance. Months later, she opened a small workshop bearing her name. It wasn't luxurious, but it carried her spirit. On the opening day, an elegant woman walked in and said, "I've heard a lot about you. I want a dress that looks like me." Sophia smiled and replied, "Every woman has a story, and I'll sew yours with the thread it deserves." But success never comes without storms. Sophia faced painful obstacles. An angry customer due to a delay, a lost shipment of fabric, a large bill that nearly broke her, and long nights where she felt she was hanging by a thread. One night, her sewing machine suddenly stopped. She sat on the floor, rested her face in her hands, and cried silently. But after a few minutes, she wiped her tears, stood up, and whispered the sentence that later became the motto of her life. "If I give up now, I'll never know how far I could have gone." Years passed, and her small workshop grew into a well-known brand. She received an invitation to appear on a television program about success stories. Sitting under the bright lights, she said a sentence that stayed with everyone who heard it. "I wasn't a superwoman. I was simply the woman who refused to break." Today, Sophia employs several women who lost their jobs or are going through difficult circumstances. She always tells them, You may not have chosen your past, but you can sew your future with a new thread. And so, Sophia became a symbol of determination, a woman who didn't wait for a miracle, but created her own with her bare hands. She started from zero, faced countless setbacks, but rose every single time because her heart carried a dream bigger than every storm that tried to stop her.